Jack Carter, 38 with calloused hands that tell stories of honest work, pulls over when he spots a sedan with its hood up, steam curling into the sky like a distress signal. A woman in her mid-30s, Anna, struggles with the engine, worry etched deep in her tired face. In the back seat, two kids press their faces to the glass, watching. Jack wipes his hands on worn jeans, calling out, "Need a hand? Stay with us." This touching story shows how one moment can change everything. Jack leans into the engine bay with the practiced confidence of someone who has spent years making broken things whole again. His experienced eyes quickly diagnose the problem. A burst radiator hose, nothing catastrophic, but enough to strand a family on a lonely stretch of highway where help doesn't come easily. Anna hovers nervously beside him, embarrassed by her mechanical helplessness, but grateful beyond words that someone finally stopped. She's been stranded here for over an hour, watching car after car pass by without slowing, each one carrying drivers too busy or too wary to involve themselves in a stranger's troubles. Her children peek out timidly through the half-open car windows, their curious eyes studying this stranger who appeared like an answer to prayers they hadn't known how to voice. They whisper to each other in the back seat, pointing at Jack's work boots and the gentle way he handles their mother's car. Jack catches sight of their worried faces and decides to ease the tension with humor. "Well, I've got good news and bad news," he announces with mock seriousness. "The bad news is your car is definitely broken. The good news is it's the kind of broken that gets fixed in about 10 minutes. The kids giggle through the open window, their anxiety melting away at his easy manner. Even Anna finds herself smiling, the first genuine expression of joy she's worn in months of grinding through single parenthood and endless responsibilities. Within minutes, Jack has the temporary repair completed and the engine running smoothly again. Anna's relief spills over into that same rare smile, transforming her tired features into something luminous. She reaches for her purse, insisting on paying him for his time and expertise, but Jack waves off her attempts with the casual generosity of someone who helps because it's right, not because it's profitable. "Dinner," Anna says firmly, changing tactics. "At least let me buy you dinner as a thank you. There's a diner just up the road. Nothing fancy, but the kids love their milkshakes." Jack hesitates, his default response shaped by years of careful boundaries and the protective instincts of a single father. But the children's voices break through his reluctance. "Please stay. Mom never smiles like this anymore." The innocent honesty of their plea touches something in Jack's chest, and he finds himself agreeing to follow them to the small roadside diner where neon signs promise good food and better conversation. The contrast between their lives becomes apparent over burgers and chocolate milkshakes. Jack's quiet existence as a single father raising his 11-year-old daughter Emily with steady routine and careful planning stands against Anna's heavier load. A widow carrying the full weight of raising two children alone while trying to honor the memory of a husband lost too soon to illness. Over shared fries and the comfortable chaos of children being children, laughter begins to fill their booth. Emily, shy at first, gradually warms to Anna's kids, and soon they're trading stories about school and dreams and the small adventures that loom large in young lives. For the first time in a very long time, both families feel something they'd almost forgotten: the lightness that comes when burdens are shared, even temporarily, with people who understand the weight of responsibility and the preciousness of the connections that make it all worthwhile. In the weeks that follow their roadside encounter, Jack and Anna discover that their lives intersect in the ordinary places where families navigate daily routines. They pass each other during school drop-offs, exchange waves across grocery store aisles, and find themselves sharing bleacher space at soccer practices where their children chase dreams and skin knees with equal enthusiasm. Emily bonds quickly with Anna's kids, 7-year-old Sarah and 9-year-old Michael, their friendship blooming with the effortless magic that children create when they recognize kindred spirits. They draw pictures together during playdates, trade carefully guarded secrets about favorite colors and feared monsters, and build elaborate blanket forts that become kingdoms limited only by imagination and available furniture. Jack finds himself helping Anna with the small repairs that accumulate around any house, but become overwhelming when there's only one adult to handle them all. He fixes a leaky faucet that's been dripping for months, patches a section of fence that winter weather damaged, and replaces burnt-out light bulbs in places too high for Anna to reach safely. These aren't grand gestures or romantic overtures. They're the practical kindnesses that matter most in daily life, the quiet ways that people show care through action rather than words. Jack brings his toolbox and patient expertise. Anna provides coffee and conversation that makes ordinary maintenance feel like collaboration rather than chore. Over late evening conversations while children sleep and houses settle into nighttime quiet, Anna begins to open up about the weight she's been carrying. She speaks about losing her husband to cancer, about the long nights spent watching him fight a battle he couldn't win, about the impossible transition from wife and mother to widow and sole provider. Jack listens with the focused attention of someone who understands that some stories need space to breathe, that healing happens in the telling as much as in the hearing. He shares his own carefully guarded experiences, the divorce that left him questioning his worth as a husband and father, the loneliness that settled into his bones during those first months of single parenthood, the persistent guilt that whispers he's not enough for his daughter's needs. These conversations aren't dramatic confessions or therapeutic breakthroughs. They're the gradual sharing of burden that happens between people who recognize similar wounds and similar strength. They're healing moments laced with comfortable silences that mean more than any words could express. One particularly perfect evening, Jack teaches all three children how to make s'mores over a backyard fire pit, their laughter echoing into the gathering darkness as marshmallows burn and chocolate melts and sticky fingers become badges of successful adventure. Anna watches from the porch steps, her heart softening as she observes someone willingly sharing her responsibilities without being asked, without keeping score, without expecting anything in return except the joy of children being children. Emily whispers conspiratorially to Sarah during a quiet moment when the adults are distracted by Michael's elaborate story about a particularly stubborn marshmallow. Maybe our families could be one big family someday. Wouldn't that be nice? Anna overhears the innocent speculation, her heart responding with a complex mixture of hope and terror that threatens to overwhelm her carefully maintained composure. The possibility that Emily has voiced represents everything Anna wants and everything she fears. The chance for her children to have a father figure again, the risk of betraying her late husband's memory, the opportunity for companionship in the enormous task of raising good humans, the vulnerability of opening her heart to loss again. As the evening winds down and the fire burns to glowing embers, Anna finds herself studying Jack's profile in the firelight, watching the way he listens to her children's stories with genuine interest, the way he makes Emily laugh with silly jokes, the way he seems to fit naturally into the family dynamic she'd thought was permanently broken. For the first time since her husband's death, Anna allows herself to imagine a future that includes partnership rather than just survival, joy rather than just endurance, love rather than just memory. The thought terrifies and exhilarates her in equal measure, opening possibilities she hadn't dared to consider during the long months of grief and adjustment. Keep watching, because sometimes the smallest acts of kindness lead to the biggest changes. Not everyone approves of the growing connection between Jack and Anna's families. Her late husband's parents, well-meaning but protective of their son's memory, voice concerns that feel more like accusations during a tense conversation in Anna's living room. They warn her against moving on too soon, their words heavy with the implication that loving again somehow diminishes the love she shared with their son. It's only been 18 months, her mother-in-law says, her voice carrying the weight of grief that hasn't yet learned to coexist with hope. The children need time to process their father's death, not confusion about replacement fathers who might not stay. The accusations sting because they voice Anna's own deepest fears, that she's being selfish in seeking companionship, that she's betraying the promise she made to love her husband forever, that she's risking her children's emotional security for her own comfort. The doubt begins to gnaw at her confidence, whispering that maybe she's moving too fast, wanting too much, hoping for things that aren't meant to be. Jack senses the shift in Anna's energy during their next few encounters, the way she holds herself slightly apart, the careful distance that appears in conversations that had been growing increasingly intimate. He recognizes the signs of someone wrestling with internal conflict, and his response is characteristic. He gives her space to work through whatever is troubling her, even though the withdrawal creates an ache in his chest that surprises him with its intensity. The children notice the change immediately. their sensitive awareness picking up on the subtle ways that adults communicate tension. Dinners become quieter affairs, laughter feels forced, and Emily finally voices what they're all feeling. Did we do something wrong? Why doesn't Anna come over anymore? Jack struggles to explain adult complications to an 11-year-old who sees the world in terms of right and wrong, love and rejection, family and isolation. He watches his daughter's confusion and realizes that his careful boundaries haven't protected her from disappointment. They've just delayed it while allowing deeper attachments to form. Anna wrestles with her own version of the same realization, watching Sarah and Michael ask repeatedly when they'll see Emily again, when Jack will come fix the squeaky gate that's been bothering them, when their new normal will resume. Their innocent questions reveal how quickly they've adapted to expanded family, how naturally they've accepted love that comes without conditions or expectations. The turning point arrives during a summer storm that knocks out power across the neighborhood, leaving Anna's house dark and her children frightened by thunder that seems to shake the very foundations. As she searches for candles and battery-powered lanterns, she hears a familiar knock at the door. Jack stands on her porch holding a camping lantern and a bag of supplies, his presence both surprising and inevitable. "Thought you might need some light," he says simply, as if showing up during emergencies is the most natural thing in the world. The children rush to him with relief and excitement, their fear forgotten in the comfort of his steady presence. They huddle together on the living room floor, playing card games by lantern light while rain drums against windows, and thunder provides dramatic background music to their impromptu indoor camping adventure. Anna watches this scene unfold, her children secure and laughing, Jack patient and engaged, the house filled with warmth despite the lack of electricity, and suddenly sees the situation with perfect clarity. This isn't about replacing the past or betraying memory or moving too fast or too slow. This is about recognizing love when it appears and having the courage to accept it, even when acceptance requires vulnerability. "I'm scared," she tells Jack quietly while the children are distracted by a particularly challenging round of Go Fish. "I'm terrified of dishonoring David's memory, of confusing the kids, of opening my heart just to have it broken again. But I'm more scared of staying afraid forever." Jack's response carries the weight of someone who understands exactly what she's risking, what she's offering, what she's asking for in return. "You don't have to do this alone anymore," he says softly. "Not if you don't want to. Not if you'll trust me to help carry what you've been carrying by yourself." The storm outside begins to subside, but inside Anna's house, something fundamental has shifted. The careful walls that grief and fear had constructed begin to crumble, not through force, but through the quiet persistence of love that proves itself through presence rather than promises. 6 months later, the transformation is evident in ways both large and small. The house that once felt like a mausoleum to lost dreams now pulses with the chaotic energy of a blended family finding its rhythm. Emily and Anna's children have claimed the backyard as their kingdom, their collaborative projects ranging from an ambitious vegetable garden to an elaborate tire swing that Jack installed with more enthusiasm than engineering expertise. The morning routine involves 4 children instead of 3, lunches packed in industrial quantities, and the kind of organized chaos that comes with managing multiple school schedules, after-school activities, and the social calendars of young people who have discovered that family can expand to include anyone willing to share love and laughter. Anna and Jack don't rush toward romance with the desperate urgency of people trying to fill voids in their lives. Instead, they build something more substantial, a partnership based on shared responsibilities, mutual respect, and the quiet understanding that comes from surviving difficult seasons and choosing hope despite evidence that hope can be fragile. Their relationship develops through small gestures that accumulate into something profound. Jack arriving early to help with breakfast when Anna has an important work meeting, Anna staying late to help Emily with a school project that requires artistic skills beyond Jack's capabilities. Both of them tag-teaming bedtime routines that transform what had been a stressful end to long days into opportunities for connection and conversation. The house itself reflects their gradual merger, Jack's practical improvements blending with Anna's aesthetic touches to create spaces that serve 4 children's needs while honoring the memory of the man whose photos still occupy places of honor on mantels and side tables. There's no sense of replacement or erasure, just expansion, addition, the organic growth that happens when love multiplies rather than divides. On Emily's 12th birthday, the celebration becomes a testament to their new normal. Anna emerges from the kitchen carrying a homemade cake decorated with enough candles to light a small village, while Jack hangs streamers that the children insisted were essential to proper birthday protocol. The singing is enthusiastic, if not particularly melodic. Four young voices rising in joy that fills every corner of the house. Jack looks around the table during the cake-cutting ceremony, his heart full as he takes in the scene. Emily glowing with birthday happiness, Sarah and Michael treating her like the big sister they never had. Anna orchestrating the celebration with the kind of maternal warmth that makes ordinary moments feel magical. Two families that had been fractured by loss and circumstance, now woven together by choice and commitment and the daily decision to love each other despite the risks. Anna catches his eye across the table, her expression carrying gratitude and something deeper. The recognition that the broken road that brought them together has led to something neither could have imagined when they were traveling it alone. She mouths silently, "Thank you for stopping that day." Jack's smile carries the weight of a man who understands that the best decisions are often the simplest ones. The choice to help because help is needed, to stay because staying matters, to love because love is always the right answer, even when it's the scary answer. "Best stop I ever made," he mouths back. The celebration continues with the beautiful chaos that defines family life. Wrapping paper scattered across the living room floor, children arguing good-naturedly about movie choices, adults cleaning up while trying to maintain the illusion that they're in control of anything happening in their household. As evening settles over their neighborhood, Jack and Anna stand together in the kitchen doorway, watching their four children collaborate on a puzzle that covers most of the dining room table. The scene represents everything they built together: patience, cooperation, the willingness to work towards something larger than individual pieces, the faith that complex problems can be solved when approached with love and persistence. The camera fades on this image of two families who have become one, hands linked together as they step forward into a future that promises the ordinary miracles that happen when people choose each other daily, when children are raised by villages of love, when healing happens not through forgetting, but through creating new memories, beautiful enough to coexist with treasured old ones. If this touching story warmed your heart, subscribe to Our Heart Stories for more emotional tales of love, healing, and second chances.